The best interview question in the world is useless if you can't do one thing. And most interviewers don't. They ask a great question, the candidate starts talking, and within less than 60 seconds, the interviewer has already moved on in their head, deciding, judging, filling in the gaps with assumptions. Now, I've watched this happen hundreds of times. I sit in on over 50 interviews a month, and I see sharp interviewers, good questions, impressive candidates, and actually zero evidence being collected. So in this video, I'll show you the 7 habits that separate strong interviewers from average ones. And I'm going to start with the one that kills more hires than any other. So let's go. First of all, speed kills signal. Slow the conversation down. The faster the interview moves, the more assumptions you're going to make. The more questions you ask, the less time you have to dig in. I've seen interviewers rush through a 45-minute conversation asking 12 questions and come out confident that they have gathered enough evidence to make a good decision, only to realize they have no idea what the candidate actually did. Strong interviewers create space. They listen, they pause, they use silence and follow up. They stay patient enough for the real story to emerge. Slowing down helps you catch the moments that really truly matter. The point where the situation got hard, the decision that changed the outcome, the conflict that the candidate avoided mentioning in the first place. Rushed interviews produce vague answer. Slow interviews reveal truth. But slowing down only works if you know what you're listening for. And this brings me to the next point. Hold your structure. Great interviewers know their process. They know the outcomes they're assessing for. They know the flow of the conversation. They know their questions. They know their follow-ups. They don't jump around or react to tangents or let the candidate steer the topic. They hold the structure. And holding the structure means you ask one question at a time. You use one framework for each question, star, parla, circles, whatever it may be. And you stay inside the story long enough to get to the evidence. And you only redirect candidates when they start to drift. You see, structure protects the interview from noise. Without it, even strong candidates produce scattered answers that leave you guessing. And here's the thing most interviewers miss. Candidates will always drift. That is why it is so important to stay inside the real story. Most candidates drift into opinions and theory and hypotheticals. They prefer to tell you what they believe you need to hear rather than what they actually did. This is normal. Great interviewers bring candidates back to the moment. Show me the situation. Show me the action. Show me the decision. Show me the outcome you delivered. When you stay inside the story, you see how the candidate operates in real life. And there is very little that can predict future behaviors better than past behaviors. But staying in the story requires you to know the difference between evidence and noise. Let me explain. If you only remember one thing from this video, remember this. A candidate can talk for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes and tell you nothing useful. Which brings me to the most important discipline of all. Ask for evidence, not impressions. You're not looking for hypotheticals. You're looking for indicators. You're looking for signal. Candidates can sound smart without being specific. They can sound senior without actually showing judgment. They can sound confident without showing capability or competence. Your job is to anchor the conversation in fact. Strong interviewers don't settle for he aligned the team or she handled conflict or they communicated clearly. They ask, what did you personally do? What happened next? What changed as a result of your actions? Evidence is the foundation of good hiring. If you cannot write it down, you do not have it. But even when you're asking the right questions and collecting evidence, specific, measurable evidence, there's one more trap that catches most interviewers off guard. Keeping control of the interview. You see, control is not about pressure. It's about giving direction. Candidates cannot read your mind. And you need to tell them what it is that you're after. And you can do this in a warm way and still stay in charge. Great interviewers interrupt. They interrupt when needed. They redirect gently but firmly. They bring candidates back to the questions. They prevent long monologues that give you no evidence, and they set clear expectations at the start. Here's what I see happen a lot. A candidate goes on a 3, 5, 10-minute tangent, and the interviewer listens politely. The answer ends, and the interviewer moves on without actually having collected any information that was of use or value to the decision they need to make. And now you just lost 5 or 10 minutes and gained zero signal. When you control the flow of the conversation, the candidate feels supported, not constrained. They don't know what you're looking for. It is on you to provide them that guidance. Control keeps the conversation anchored. But here's where it gets hard. Holding your standard is essential. The strongest interviewers I know don't bend their expectations because the candidate is charming, confident, or senior. They don't reward polished talk. They don't excuse vague answers, and they definitely don't skip follow-ups because the candidate seems to have answered the question. They hold the line, they hold the standard for everyone. Evidence, clarity, specificity, ownership, reflection. If the candidate cannot provide these, the interviewer doesn't fill the gaps for themselves. I've watched senior leaders get a free pass in interviews because they obviously know what they are doing, and then watch them fail in the role because no one actually checked whether they did know what they're doing. Holding your standard is an act of leadership. It protects your team, your culture, and your business from costly hiring mistakes. And like in any other leadership skill, it gets better with one thing: practice. Practicing the skill of interview. Strong interviewers are not born. They are trained. They train themselves, and they get guidance from interviewing coaches. You don't need to be charismatic. You don't need to be quick on your feet. You don't need to be an extrovert. Great interviewing is not about perfection. It's about consistency. When you hold your structure, you stay curious, and you commit to gathering real evidence, you hire with clarity. You make better, more informed hiring decisions. You have more candidates passing through probation, and that saves you time and money. And if you got this far in the video, hit subscribe to help this channel grow, and check out my next video linked here.